Car chases are dangerous and unpredictable. Viewer discretion advised.
And we begin CBS 2 News at 5 with breaking news, a stolen car pursuit.
It's weaving all over right now. Stu Mundell live in Sky 2. Stu, what do you know?
Well, very slow moving. That's the vehicle. We see it right there. We're still on Workman Mills Road. We're in the city of Industry, coming up to a light. This might be the first time we've seen some kind of dangerous activity, and very light danger, as we've been talking about, as in a pursuit. He basically just ran that red light right there. Very slow moving vehicle, meaning driving the speed limit, maybe just a little bit above it. Nothing as far as radical moves. What made it interesting was when we first picked up this pursuit, it was actually in the Rose Hill Cemetery. I drove around on those roads out there. There it was extremely slow, 5 to 10 miles an hour when it was in the cemetery, exited the cemetery. We've been following it pretty much ever since. Sheriff's Department, they're the ones that are in pursuit. They're calling this a stolen vehicle. Many times in the past, we've seen the Sheriff's Department back out of these type of situations, and this is not that different. They've backed off a little bit. The helicopter's still above it, though, calling out the location, but they've basically slowed down their, slowed down. They've shut off their lights, then they backed off. So they're basically in a tracking mode right now. Stolen vehicle, that's what the original want is. You can see that SUV, single person in the vehicle. When I say single, I mean is in that vehicle by himself. And again, right now we're on Puente Avenue, City of Industry, stolen vehicle being followed by the Sheriff's Department.
And how strange is that, Stu, to hear you say stolen vehicle started in a cemetery, or the person was in a cemetery and then left? That's rather strange.
It's about 4 miles away.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I was thinking about that as well when we first heard the location and we were trying to figure out where it was. Maybe they were tracking the vehicle for a little bit and they followed it into that cemetery. That could have been the move right there. Just getting a little bit of a wider shot just to see if there are any Sheriff's Department vehicles still behind it. There are not. And that car is basically just slowing down and slowing down. Speeds right now, I can tell you, probably about 25, 30 miles an hour. We're on a street called Nelson. Nelson is the name of the street. Avenue out here now in the La Puente area. Just keeping an eye on this car. We're going to find out if the Sheriff's Department helicopter is still with us. But and Fulvio, my pilot, saying he is backed out as well. And this has been kind of the sheriff's policy. They don't want to push their luck as far as safety goes. And whenever it's something where either it gets too dangerous, and or just that sounds as a terrible thing to say, just a stolen vehicle, they just kind of back off.
I know what you mean there, Stu, and they do have the license plate of the vehicle. That could be another reason why they are not, and from what we've seen, as you've been reporting, they don't seem to be endangering other motorists on the street so far. So maybe that is another reason why they decided to just wait for a minute.
Well, and when you consider that it began in a cemetery, there could be a despair in entering into this. There could be a person who is mentally not stable, and they don't want to provoke that person. Not driving fast.
That's true.
So the way they're driving almost would indicate some, kind of form of well.
You're going to say grief?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say at least not a lot of anxiousness going on.
No.
Not a lot of adrenaline going on.
It doesn't seem to be the case. Did they just? Is that a red light, Stu?
That is a red light right there. You can see the street names where we are right now. Vehicle kind of just came to a stop there. This is the first time we've actually seen him stop at a red light, but there are no deputies, no law enforcement behind it. I'm hearing that the sheriff's helicopter had to go to another call, and they will be back as soon as they can. Maybe they're relying on us to keep an eye on it. We will probably, that's my guess. Right now, though, the vehicle just kind of driving along out here. And Jeff is right. When something's going on inside of a cemetery, you're right that there might be some issues involved with the driver, some sort of anxiousness. But I have not heard any talk about a weapon inside that vehicle. And also, it's a stolen vehicle, so even if they had the license plate, it probably would come back to the registered owner, not the person driving it right now.
Well, that's true, but at least they have some way of keeping him up with that vehicle. That was just my point in mentioning that they do have the plate number, but at the same time, if this person isn't driving so erratically or endangering other people. That could be another reason why they have backed off. Since this vehicle is stolen, we certainly hope that it is returned to the rightful owner in good shape.
Could
or they
be,
stop it before anything happens to the vehicle or to this driver or to anyone else out there on the road today.
Yeah, could be that they even know the person who they stole the vehicle from. A lot of times that, that could be the case once again, if this really did begin in the cemetery. So just so I understand, I know the chopper had to go to another call from LA Sheriff's. Are you also saying that LA Sheriff's ground units have backed off, so we're really not in a pursuit at all here?
Not in a pursuit at all. That is for sure. The technical term. There's an officer right behind it. That was one of the reasons why I went a little bit wider. They actually told them to back off, and I do know for a fact that the sheriff's helicopter on their way back right now. So they might turn the lights and sirens back on. This might become a full-blown pursuit again. But even when it was a pursuit, this vehicle basically was driving the speeds that you see right here, right now, just kind of moving along at a very slow clip. It has run some red lights, but cautiously, if that's even a way to explain it. So we're in the West Puente Valley, and the vehicle continues to just keep moving. Law enforcement just getting their eyes back on it as it stands. That's going to be the Sheriff's Department. And again, it's stolen vehicle. They want to bring this to an end. I don't think we'll see the pit maneuver, but maybe something other than that. Also, I haven't heard any secrets about they might know where this car is going. Haven't heard anything like that. So right now, it's just a wait and see how this pans out. And law enforcement making their way into the area again. If the helicopter is back, that one black and white that you see at quite a distance away may actually even back off even more.
Yeah, we haven't seen this vehicle on the freeway, have we, Stu? I know it is near the 605.
It was near the 605. I thought he was getting on a freeway on-ramp earlier on. Turned out he was just staying on Workman Mills. Here we go. We're getting into a parking lot. Don't know if that's because he didn't have to turn into that parking lot. I was thinking maybe the right turn was blocked. So now we're inside of a parking lot out here. We're going to keep an eye on it. If this is his idea of evading what's going on, it's not going to work very well at all. The helicopter above sees all. That's probably the most aggressive thing we've seen right there, cutting around those vehicles waiting to get back onto the roadway. And San Francisquito is where we are right now. And the helicopter above is calling it out, but the ground units are keeping a distance. And we've talked about this in the past. Just because we don't see any officers or law enforcement around the vehicle, that doesn't mean when this comes to an end, they just won't mysteriously appear, because they may be just making themselves available, but maybe a few blocks away, just in the general area. But if this vehicle does stop, I'm sure we'll see a lot of law enforcement arrive very quickly.
Well, notice now, I started to say he stopped for that light, but, our picture has frozen for a moment there, but it looked like, there we go, he did go through it. We lost you for a minute.
He slowed down. He slowed down for that 1 or 2 seconds right there, and took a pause, and then made sure everything was clear, and then continued on. The only thing I can say is a male driver. It does have tinted windows. Pretty strong belief it is just the driver inside that vehicle by himself. There is probably nobody in the back. You saw a quick shot of the helicopter, the sheriff's helicopter, just staying overhead. And of course, he's going to be there for some time, and until this comes to an end, calling out the locations. But you can see the units on the ground. There's that one that was, now there's two. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful they'll turn the lights and sirens back on and just bring this thing to an end. But we just got to wait and see.
Well, now he's waiting at the light. It's almost as if he's really, it's kind of more of a I don't care mentality than a I want to get away mentality.
I'm going to get caught eventually, or I'll stop eventually, but right now I'm just going to ride around for a moment there. I don't know, maybe clear your head.
Right, and make sure, and he is not putting himself in any danger either, stopping at least to clear the intersection, even if he does bust a red light. So, seems to, this is not, in other words, the typical aggravated criminal driver that we've seen during these police pursuits.
And let's hope it stays that way.
Yeah.
Let's hope it stays that way. That certainly makes it easier on law enforcement, too.
Oh, definitely. The Sheriff's Department, they have their policies that they have to follow. We've talked about this in the past as well. They basically have, it's a chain of command. And if their commanders are telling, back off, stay away, we'll let the helicopter handle it, that's how they're going to handle this situation. And that's what's going on right now. I believe that's going to be Sheriff's Air 21 going through our shot. Once again, Fulvio telling me I'm correct. You know what, very capable crew inside that helicopter, all law enforcement aircraft, I'm sure. But that one in particular, the one that's here today, they're the ones making the call and watching out where this car is going. And I'm sure they're looking for any types of signs of anything desperate. This is interesting right there. It looks, that's West Covina PD. I don't know if they're trying to get ahead of him to block him in,
or clear the intersection.
Maybe that officer is going to a different call.
Did he make that? Is that the vehicle, Stu? Did he make a turn there?
Yes, Yep, he drove through this apartment complex right there, popping out on the other side. We are in the West Covina area. We do have the map tracker up, so you guys can keep an eye on the streets and also the speeds. Very, like I said, very slow moving, very casual. But there you go. It looks like West Covina PD back behind it. I am going to play with some scanners for a moment to see if we can listen in what West Covina might want to do with this if the Sheriff's Department isn't going to take it over. Their policies might be a little bit different. We might actually see a pit maneuver.
Well, we're also going by Walmorado Park. It's just very close to Walnut Grove Intermediate School. It's a time of day where you could still have a lot of, you could have pedestrians out, you could have kids out.
And it's a residential neighborhood right there. So that's right. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Some people are just coming home for some dinner, perhaps.
Now, West Covina adopting a similar posture to the LA County Sheriff's Department. No red lights and siren. Slowly following behind, a little closer than the sheriffs did, a lot closer at this point.
And we saw them just sort of, I don't want to say appear, but when Stu talked about them backing off, the sheriff in particular, and then we saw West Covina take up this pursuit, but still not going very fast, certainly not going over the speed limit, which I'm sure makes them feel a little better about that.
Certainly, yeah, and they're not, the driver not really putting other motorists at danger. Most of the time when we cover these, it's, obviously a public service to the people in the area where the pursuit's happening, because we don't want people going out and driving
or even sometimes walking, because we've seen some erratic driving that can put pedestrians in danger as well. We had talked about this happening in a cemetery. Did we get the name of that cemetery?
Yeah, Rose Hills.
Rose Hills Cemetery.
Rose Hills,
and we don't know why this driver was there. And actually, we've been saying this is a stolen vehicle, so perhaps they got a call and ran the plates and saw that this was the vehicle. But again, it's interesting. We have not determined why this person was in the cemetery in the first place. We're thinking maybe the reason most people are to actually see someone, a loved one, or go visit someone's grave, but we don't know that for sure.
No, but this is not, it's not like this is a person who used this as a crime of opportunity. Hey, there's a car, I'm just going to grab it and get away. They're not trying to get away. They're merely just trying to go for a drive, and that's why you just wonder if they've got some issues they're dealing with, and this is the way they've acted it out.
Well, Stu is trying to get some more. There he is. Hey, Stu.
I was just going to say, the driver was a little fidgety earlier on. We saw a lot of movement inside there, reaching over to the passenger seat. Don't know what he's grabbing at, but he was a little bit more fidgety. That's probably the best words to use it right now. Seems like he's, like you said, very casual, just out for a drive. West Covina PD just basically doing that, hey, I just want to make sure you know we're in your rearview mirror. We saw him get a little bit closer there, just kind of moving around. But we haven't seen anything. We haven't seen anything like a pit maneuver. We haven't heard them talk about it. Speeds definitely would be good for that. This car moving a little bit slower than what we usually see. Right now, though, definitely inside the West Covina area, inside their border, you can see an officer actually going against traffic right there to join this chase. So they are being at least a little bit more aggressive, had a more aggressive stance with this stolen vehicle fleeing from law enforcement. If it leaves the West Covina area, I'm kind of curious to see what happens if he crosses that line. I don't think they're just going to lock up their brakes and stop and just kind of wave him goodbye. But I'm wondering if they're going to hand it off or how that's going to go, because and definitely inside their city limits. I wonder what happens when they get out of their city limits.
Well, it depends where he goes.
What's the next community over,
Yeah.
Stu? Do we know?
Well, I'm not super good with this area, but
Okay.
I would guess, just looking out the window, maybe the Walnut area is coming up. I know we're in West Covina, but maybe just Covina would be the next one over.
I think he's going north right now, which would put him up into Covina and then up into Citrus if he crosses the 10.
He's on South Azusa Avenue.
We're getting close to the 10.
Right now
Definitely
in
getting
West
close to the
Covina.
10.
Yeah. So he can alert Covina. They'll alert Covina PD. You know, obviously they have more units in their city than the sheriff's department would have, and it's their job to protect their city. So that's pretty much what they're doing.
Yep.
Unless he gets on the
So
10 and they
definitely
can
right
call in
there behind
CHP because he could be on the freeway. So there are a number of possibilities there in terms of law enforcement.
Up, here we go. Here we go.
Huh.
No, nope, not buying the trees.
That was for our purposes, right,
definitely
Stu?
looks like he's posturing. He's definitely posturing to get that pit maneuver in before something happens.
There
There's
it
a
is.
little bit. Oh,
Yes.
just almost. A little bit of a swap of paint there, probably from their push bumper to the bumper of that other vehicle. That driver, though, he got the message. You can see the speed's really starting to pick up right now, and the driving just a little bit more aggressive. Look at the numbers. We're about 60 miles an hour on Azusa. Right now, though, I don't know if that was a red light, but the speed's definitely picking up, and you can see other cars on the road pulling
getting
over.
out of the
So
way.
you know the lights and sirens are on.
Right.
So they're being warned there is something coming. Right now, though, that was a good attempt, not quite enough. Let's see if they try to do it when the vehicle is almost stopped.
Too many
Driving,
people.
though, nope,
Is
not
he pulling over?
onto the,
No, on the sidewalk.
Nope, he's on the sidewalk. On the sidewalk, on the grass.
Oh, boy.
Trying to get around the other vehicles there. Oh, look at the officers doing the same thing. That is,
Yeah.
They're gonna
that's
get
some
more.
pretty aggressive driving right there.
Yeah.
So definitely a different policy out here in the West Covina area that we're learning just by watching what's going on.
Exactly.
You know, we talked about how he was driving rather gingerly at first and now obviously agitated now since he got bumped by that West Covina Police Department cruiser there, and they'll probably try it again, that's for sure,
Up
to bring this to a stop.
Azusa and Puente Avenue. If you're watching us, we're following a stolen car, stolen from Rose Hills Cemetery, and it's been driving around very slowly until West Covina PD just attempted a pit maneuver, and as Pat just reported, that aggravated the driver.
Now, was it stolen from the cemetery?
That's what Stu's original information was stolen. Let me go back and see if our assignment desk has anything other than that.
I don't know if it was stolen from the cemetery, but that's where we originally heard it.
Oh,
That's what I was
okay.
trying to.
That's
I
where it
wasn't
started.
sure. I wasn't sure if officers that were deputies were following that vehicle, and they just hadn't turned on their lights and sirens, and maybe
Oh.
the driver was like, "Well, let me see if they're going to follow me into the cemetery." I don't know about
That too.
The assignment desk might have better information on that. But we picked it up. It was inside the cemetery. We made our way over there. We actually saw the first time we had eyes on it was leaving the cemetery on one of the main roads getting down out of the cemetery. So that was the first place we saw it. But this is the driving definitely getting a little bit more aggressive. The speed's picking up just a little bit. West Covina, they are definitely on it. And you can see those officers. They want to practice what they've been practicing out there. You can see those officers getting closer, trying to do that pit maneuver. But that driver seems to be aware of what's going on right now, and just driving a little bit more aggressive, keeping those officers just a little bit, just enough where they can't get to that rear bumper.
All right, now, and the interesting thing as well, that he has not made an attempt to get back on a freeway from what we've seen so far, which, you know, the way this West Covina, the police department is pursuing this driver right now, hopefully that won't happen.
Right, he will eventually get up to the 210.
210.
Well, I hope they stop it
And-
before then. He looks like, as you had mentioned, he's positioning himself with the driver, the officer there, to possibly do another pit on this SUV.
Well, at these speeds, I don't.
Yeah, it's
think
over
they
35.
will.
little
Yeah, they definitely don't think they will. Right now, the the numbers went a little nuts right there. He definitely wasn't going 500 miles an hour. Yeah, up over the curb right there. But you know what? The small SUV, the officers, they've got small SUVs too, and they can handle that type of climb over those curbs, those center medians. That Explorer there, you can see it when they get on it. They get on it, and that thing moves out, getting really close to that vehicle again. Whatever that distance was, he closed it very, very quickly. They are right on this guy, though. In the lights and sirens, that driver, hopefully he's just going to kind of do, well, whatever the reason is that I'm running, I might as well just bring this to an end before somebody gets hurt, and hopefully even, go ahead.
Here comes the 210 right now. So this is their decision point.
And going against traffic. Yeah, going against traffic. That's something interesting. I wonder why. Maybe, there is a lot of traffic up there. So going against traffic right there. Maybe he's going to try to get on the 210. This will be the first time we've seen that vehicle on the 210. His lane choices right there, the lane directions. Now he's on the correct side of the road again. And like you said, 210 freeway, almost the next stop. We'll see if he gets on that freeway.
Well, we could see pretty far ahead. Not right now. I'm just wondering what's going on up front. Oh, thank you for pulling out there.
Yeah,
trying to see
it's all kind of wide open just in front there. You can see some of that's the off ramp, the on ramp also in the shot. But he's not in the right lane for that unless he wants to take the other direction, which would take him westbound. But it maybe. Let's see what happens. Nope. He likes those surface streets. He's been on them the entire time, and he's basically choosing to stay on these surface streets.
And he's in Azusa now.
He's up just
West
passing
Covina. He's in Azusa.
Azusa High School, coming up to Foothill Boulevard. This is where Azusa is a divided street.
They're still right on him, getting closer even.
He's not going to go into oncoming
traffic. This is the area where they're one-way
here.
streets.
Yeah, it's one-way street.
Yeah, there's just one-way streets. So this might be a better spot for the pit maneuver, but not when there's traffic like we see there, civilians in the area. They will definitely not try to do that. It's going to be dangerous, especially with that car out of control. The officers will have control of their vehicles, but the idea is basically to spin that suspect around so they won't pull that stunt there. And also if the speeds are not right, they won't do it. When he was driving slower, it was better. But now he's steaming to slow down just a little bit. Boy, it got narrow. That road got narrow quick.
And they won't do it for on a narrow roadway like that.
Well, they've got a
There's
car.
nobody on the on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, downtown Azusa right there, like Old Town Azusa, very commercial spot. A lot of open stores, and you can see the old-style parking, and just a very homey type of area.
Parking lot.
Looks like, don't know why he chose that one. Hopefully there's not a way out. Yeah, he's going to make his own though. You know, he's got that little SUV.
There
you go.
Sidewalk.
Down the curb. And
but they're right behind him.
Wrong way.
They're right behind him.
Right behind him. Oh, what's he doing?
You know, I almost thought for a moment there, Jeff and Stu, that he was going to pull in that lot and just sit there. Yeah, and
well,
just wait.
We've seen it happen just a couple weeks ago,
That's
right?
It's fresh on my mind. But he didn't. He's still going.
Yeah. Which really, reminds us that we can't guess what this driver is thinking, what their motive is, why they stole the car. We're merely spectators like everybody else, just trying to warn people not to be in this area in Azusa when this is going on.
Definitely.
And definitely depend on.
It stays one way for. I was just going to say it stays one way for quite a while, but then this, if he just stays on this road, this is going to get up into the canyons here in just a moment or two. So that's going to change the dynamic as far as the driving. Maybe less civilians in the area, definitely, hopefully no pedestrians out there. Occasionally there's some bike riders, but it's going to change it up. But then also you have to deal with the canyon roads. You have to deal with the drop-offs, and I really don't think officers are going to try to do a pit maneuver knowing that driver could careen off the side of the road. So we'll see what happens here, but we are running out of road quickly. And if he stays on this road, which, like I said, it's going to turn into that canyon road.
San Gabriel Canyon Road.
Very soon.
Some people know this is Highway 39. Goes up into the mountains.
That was the pit maneuver that we're showing, the pit maneuver attempt, I should say, that we're showing on the right side of your screen earlier, about 20 minutes ago. wasn't
And,
as
that-
effective. Vehicle kept moving. Looks like they're picking up speed, Stu.
And you got clear. You got.
I was just just talking with Fulvio. I'm afraid we might lose the picture because we're going to have to climb to stay clear of the mountains. The microwave does a lot of wonderful things. Go through mountains, does not.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to climb a little bit. The shot might get a little different here, but we're definitely going to stay with it and going to work to keep the signal into TOC. And I might have to talk to them in just a moment.
All right. You know what? Well, Stu, does that also affects the sheriff's chopper, I would imagine, as yours?
No. Sheriff's chopper. No, they can stay low. Nobody's watching they're not sending a signal out of their helicopter. Nobody's watching what they're doing. We are, of course. We love the sheriff's department, but they're not sending a signal. That's just for the picture for our viewers. So we're actually climbing and trying to stay clear of the hills here and keeping an eye on that pursuit.
Well, we appreciate that, Stu. Thank you.
This is winding. This big hairpin turn to the right is taking them further up into the mountains. Pretty soon they're going to get into the Angeles National Forest, and
that's going to be another.
And that's just a whole
another
element to this.
Absolutely.
And we've covered so many cars off the side of the road on Highway 39. It becomes a very narrow road. And Stu pointed out the sheriff's department doesn't need to send back pictures, but no helicopter pilot wants to fly over the mountains when there's not a level place to land in case of a problem. So once they get up into the actual mountains,
it's still a problem.
Air coverage is going to be difficult.
And they've pulled back before. Mm-hmm. They pulled off this particular pursuit before that we've been watching earlier on when it first started. So there is a possibility they can do that again for the reasons that you just mentioned, but we can't call that either.
Right.
I don't know how long they're going to stay with it.
What we're trying to do right now is we're trying to get our Sky 2 to feed its signal into another one of our receivers to see if we can continue our coverage of this stolen car. And by the way, we picked it up at Rose Hill Cemetery. I was incorrect when I said it was stolen from Rose Hill Cemetery. We don't know that.
And we're assuming that that's where it started.
I
just
don't know
where the vehicle was stolen from, but yes.
Right.
And we don't know why that driver was there in the first place, if he was visiting a grave or what exactly was going on there. But now we've got our picture back.
And good speed, Stu. There's lots of open road, good speed. There's the sheriff's helicopter. This is a perfect place to do a pit maneuver if they wanted to.
I wonder if they could do a
definitely,
spike strip
especially with
up
the
ahead.
walls on both
they got
sides.
Enough time.
Well, they could. But now the issue would be that they'd have to have a unit or a vehicle with a spike strip ahead of them, and I don't think there's there might be somebody patrolling, but that would be a different agency, and they would have to get a hold of that vehicle or that officer or deputy, as it would be. Right now, though, the guardrails definitely would be helpful if they did a pit maneuver in a couple of these spots. You've got mountains on both sides of the roads where they've cut through the hillside. That would be really good, but like something like right there, I don't think that they would, just because of the fear that that vehicle would careen off that side, and it would be devastating for the driver of the stolen vehicle, the suspect as it would be. So right now, the chase still continuing. We see if we can get the speeds back up. I do know they are moving slowly, and it kind of makes you wonder why. I'm wondering if maybe there's not a lot of fuel in that car, and maybe that driver's just trying to conserve fuel. But the speeds have been kind of slow until we saw that almost pit. I'm thinking that they might have swapped some paint right there, but not more than that. And then after that, he really got that vehicle up to about 60, almost 70 miles an hour on Azusa, which is a surface street, but slowed back down. Here we are, 19 miles an hour, taking these turns very slowly. If I was behind that guy, I'd probably be angry. There you go. That's one of the spots. If they would have pitted him, that would have been a good spot for it. You're
coming up on Morris Dam there, and there's some natural roadblocks up there as well, because they, sometimes Caltrans has to close roads up around there. But right now, just a lot of cars.
There's the sheriff's chopper.
Cars
well, I'm
pulled
hoping
over.
He's running out of gas. That'd be great.
It would be.
Yeah, it would be great. He's definitely slowing down. Oh, there's something unusual. There we go. There we go.
I don't like that.
You don't want to see.
Don't like that.
No.
Yeah, he's trying to do something right there.
He's tearing up that car.
I don't know if this is tearing up the car. You got that front-wheel drive.
Front-wheel drive, right?
Come on, stop.
Yeah, And this is kind of unusual. Yeah, you've got that barricade or that, that guardrail between him and that vehicle, but it doesn't look like he's trying to commit suicide or anything like that. And now he looks like he's starting to get stuck. Whatever this plan is,
there's no plan
right there.
No.
Yeah, there's definitely no plan here. This is just very unusual behavior. But the West Covina PD moving a little closer.
They're close enough to bullhorn him now, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So they can start talking to him.
Yeah, I wonder if they would even try, though. It's just, obviously, they know they want this guy to stop, and it looks like the car is giving up right now. But it's not out of commission, so it's kind of a standoff type of situation right now. And those officers definitely ready to do what they need to do if that vehicle starts moving once again.
Yeah, well, we were also a bit, saying that could possibly happen too, that he could stop and just present a standoff situation. I certainly wasn't expecting anything like this for him to go over that guardrail and that's spooky. That's very scary.
Really precarious.
Yeah, very much so.
Can
we see the sheriff? Well, we see them getting out of the vehicle.
Yeah, I think he has his hands up. We're going to kind of move Sky 2 around a little bit and see if that is what we're seeing right there. Obviously, commands are being given. Oh, the dog is here, the West Covina canine unit.
Ooh.
So hopefully this person will give himself up, because that dog will bite you if you don't comply. But it definitely, hands out right now. Don't know if he threw the keys out. We would have missed that. We couldn't have seen that. But the car's stuck on this piece of roadway out here, and West Covina PD right there, weapons out, giving commands. Hopefully this person will comply, and this will bring this pursuit to an end peacefully.
Yeah. Stu, let me just interrupt just to tell everybody you are watching KCBS, CBS 2 News at 5, coverage of a pursuit in progress at the bottom of the hour here at 5:30.
I'm glad this vehicle is stopped one way or the other, because I don't know, from up here looking at that stretch of road that's in front of him, that looks very, very narrow. It's not like he had a lot of room.
You can see his
arms are out. Oh yeah, we're looking at a bigger picture.
Yeah, if we can bring that live frame up, we had a really good shot there of his arms out of the window, which means he wants to comply. He's doing what officers are saying. Obviously, he's found himself in a
but he's not getting out of the car. So
that's a good point.
He wants to comply, but to comply even more, he should get out of the vehicle.
Usually what they'll do is they'll say, open the car door from the outside handle, reach your arm down, open that door, and that's not what's happening. It looks like he just wants them to see right now, I don't have anything in my hands. But
sure. Yeah, the door needs to open and he needs to get out. So we are at a, well, go ahead, Stu.
No, I was just going to say, it seems like just the way the gesturing is there is some conversation back and forth. The officer's probably telling him, like you've been saying, hands up, hands out. Hopefully the keys have been tossed out. Don't know why he's not getting out. You can see that the hand motion right there, like I don't know what to do. I don't know how. Maybe they're telling him to do something that he thinks he can't do, or maybe he's just trying to be difficult. I mean, this guy didn't stop for officers for quite some time. Right now, though, definitely some sort of conversation going on between the law enforcement and that suspect. That guardrail, I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue for the law enforcement to take him into custody. And you were asking about where that road would have, that not road would have taken him there.
Yeah, look at
just
that.
Gets a little bit narrow and would have dumped him back onto Azusa, I'm sorry, San Gabriel Canyon. But right now, kind of a standoff. And I'm just wondering what's taking so long for that suspect to just get out of that truck.
Well, I hope he's not thinking, come get me, because if they send in the canine, he wouldn't want that either.
Well, and very likely that's what they're doing. They're saying, look, they're trying to negotiate with him. They're trying to say, look, we don't want to send the dog in after you. We don't want to have to use any force here. Just follow our instructions, do what we say. You can hear the dog barking. So help us out here and help yourself out.
Oh yeah, that dog wants. Another one. Been practicing for a long time. Definitely wants to put it into practical use right now. The dog does. So we'll keep an eye on it. But they will let that dog loose if they have to. I don't know why that suspect is just kind of standing there with not even standing, just leaning against the door, hands out, but the door is still closed. I can't imagine what the conversation is right now.
No, and even if he said, well, like, the door won't open,
That's
that would make some kind of, I would think they would approach it.
they would just if they
Or they would say,
If he
climb out
tried
the
climb
window.
out the window, yeah. But that's not the issue. He has his head out. He's clearly there's some form of communication going on here. And,
Yeah, we just don't know what it is.
is there
except-
something in his left hand?
Except get out of the car.
Couldn't quite tell. It looked like he was holding something in his left hand. I don't know what. Motioning
Can't
with
tell
his
from
right
here,
hand.
but he is motioning. He's
Yeah,
got his
there's
head out of the
definitely
car.
conversation. Yeah, definitely conversation going on right there. The hand motion. Sorry we can't get any tighter on the shot this afternoon, but yeah, there's definitely some conversation, some movement with the hands, but they've clearly not gone back inside the car, which is a huge plus. That's what
Right.
the officers are definitely looking for. We haven't heard the word weapon. Hopefully there is no weapon. So right now, again, couldn't even imagine what they're talking about. Possibly they're saying throw the keys out, and he hasn't done that yet. Maybe that's one of the sticking points, as it would be in this negotiation. Azusa, one of the Azusa law enforcement arriving out here now as well. Let me see if we can tell. I was thinking maybe it was a less than lethal weapon, but it looks like just a standard rifle.
Well, that officer walking up
but that
has a less lethal weapon in his hand.
maybe
It
I'm
could
not
be, yeah,
sure.
that could be an R
I don't
winner.
think so.
Nothing.
Yeah. Up there we go. Doors open. There we go. Whatever it was, they figured it out. So good
Okay.
negotiation on somebody's part. There we go. He's getting out. He's tossing stuff on the ground, getting across the barricade, the guardrail, and definitely following directions. So this is very good news for that suspect, because we didn't want to see him get bitten.
No, we didn't. Or
Yeah.
something worse happening. So again, we always try to get to the bottom of why these things happen, and that's what our viewers want to know as well. Well, why was that guy in the cemetery? Who did the vehicle belong to? So we'll try to get some of those questions answered if we can, but right now we're seeing that this guy finally is out and complying with the number of law enforcement vehicles that are behind him, number of weapons drawn, and of course our wonderful canine friend there.
And there we go. Cuffs hopefully on him here in just a moment.
The only thing that's going to make
But
this...
the officer's very cautious.
Yeah, as they should be. They're going to arrest him in the very same way they would arrest anybody. One of the things that's going to protract this road closure, though, is they're going to have to get that car off the shoulder. And obviously that front-wheel drive car was having problems in that dry grass, so they may have to get a tow truck out there.
Which, you know, well, it's not going to affect traffic
Well, if there are some
on the
people who
highway.
do take 39.
To move it, yes, but thank
that's
goodness
true.
it's not
Right.
on the street itself. That's what I was trying to say, not on the pavement. Well, you see someone in the opposite
There we go.
direction.
Yep, walking back.
Suspects in custody, of course, are going to have to clear that vehicle. You can see them still very cautious, making their move up to that car. A lot of tinted windows. We only saw the driver, but maybe they have other information. We were talking about the road closure. 39 or San Gabriel Canyon, it is kind of a busy little road. It's like to get you from the Azusa area back over to the other side of over towards the Antelope Valley. So there might be some traffic delays. Possibly some folks might need to know about that. Don't take it because it may be closed for some time. Right now, officers clearing that vehicle. Some civilian vehicles stopped, but definitely looks as if though there is nobody in that SUV except for the driver that is now out.